Hello and welcome to a Talmud Israeli production. Today we'll review the highlights of this week's course of Daf Yomi study, Masechet Ketubot, pages 102 through 108, Kuf Bet through Kuf Chet. 102. Tanya. Mi shemet v'hiniach ben katan le'imo. A man died and left behind a minor child and the mother of this minor child. Yorshei ha'av omrim yehi gadol etzleinu. The heirs of the father, who would be heirs if this child had not existed, are saying to the mother of the baby, "Oh, we want this boy to grow up with us. We'll raise him." V'imo omeret, but the mother says, "Yeveni gadol etzli." No, I want to raise my own child. Manichin oto etzel imo. The rule is we leave the child with the mother. Makes perfect sense. She's the mother after all. V'en manichin oto etzel haroy liyarsho. And we do not leave the child with people who would be heirs to this child were he to die. Ma sahaya v'shachatu ervishon. There was one incident where the child was placed in the custody and the care of those who would stand to benefit from his disappearance, because they would then be the heirs of the estate. And what happened? They slaughtered him on the first night. They killed him. So because we don't trust people to not act in their financial interests, and they might even go as far as murder, we will insist upon the child being raised by the mother for his own safety and protection. 103. Almana she'amra ifshilazuz mi beit bali. If a widow says, "I don't want to move out of my husband's house, my deceased husband's house," and the heirs of the dead husband are not allowed to say to his widow, "Well, you move out of here, move back to your daddy's house, and we'll provide you sustenance while you're over there." They cannot do that. Rather, they have to give her sustenance where she is and give her a place of residence that is befitting her honor on the properties of her deceased husband. However, if she were to say, "I can't move out of my father's house," but then the heirs of the husband can say, "Well, if you lived here among us, we would feed you." However, if you insist upon living in your father's house, away from where we are not going to provide you with sustenance. You could sue for your ketubot, but we're not going to provide you with mizonot. 104. Chachamim omrim, kol zman shehi bebeit ba'ala, govak tebatal le'olam. The sages say, as long as the widow is living in the home of her deceased husband, she can press a claim for her ketubah forever. Meaning, if she doesn't do it right away, it's fine. She could do it a year from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now. There's no statute of limitation. However, if she were to go back to her family's house, to her father's house, then the statute of limitation is 25 years. Meta, if she were to die, then her heirs, who were interested in their mother's deceased husband's estate paying out the ketubah, are allowed to press the claim for another 25 years after her passing. 105. Ki hashochad yaver einei chachamim. Bribery will blind the eyes of the wise. That even if you're a great wise scholar, if you take a bribe, you will not pass from this earth before you have samyut halev, the blindness of the heart. Will corrupt the words of the righteous. Even if you're a totally righteous individual. But you take a bribe, and if you will not depart from this earth before experiencing tiruf dat, whether insanity or mental instability or cognitive decline, whatever it is, however you want to define tiruf dat, you're going to suffer on account of the bribe that you took. 106. Those who inspected the sacrificial animals that they not be blemished would receive payment, wages for their services, mitrumat halishka, from the temple funds that were collected from the Machatzit shekel. Talmidei Chachamim, Hamlamdei Hilchot Shchita, the Kohanim, those scholars who would teach the laws of slaughter to the Kohanim, also would receive a salary from the Trumat Halishka, from the coins that were pulled out of the bin from the donations of the shekel. Those scholars who taught the laws of kamitza, the laws of the fistful for the grain offerings, also would receive payment in the same fashion. Magiyas from Yerushalayim, also those who were correcting Torah scrolls for errors, scribal errors in Jerusalem, they would get money in the same way. Nashim orgot paparochet notem scham trumas lishka. And those women who would be engaged in the handicraft of preparing the parochet, the curtains for the temple, would similarly be paid from the Trumat HaLishka. 107. Misha halach lemedinat hayam. Someone goes to a faraway place, goes off to China. V'amar echad u'pineset ishto, and someone else realizes that this guy who left behind a wife, and this wife has no means of material support, he feels bad for her, so he decides he'll pay for her support, her parnasa, while the husband is away. No one told him to do this, but he does it as a chesed. What happens now? Chanan says, well, he lost his money. He did a kindness, but he's not going to get repaid for what he did. However, the sons of the Kohanim Gedolim disagree and say, Shava kamahotzi v'yitol. He can swear as to how much he spent on the maintenance of this woman, who was someone else's wife, and then he can sue, and the estate or the properties of the husband of that woman will have to pay what this man spent all that time. Amar Rabbi Dosa ben Harkinas kedivrehem. Dosa ben Harkinas said like them. However, Yochanan ben Zakkai says, no. The man does not get his money repaid because it's like he put money on the horns of a deer. When you put money on the horns of a deer, you're not getting it back. It's gone. 108. Mishemet v'niach banim v'banot. A person died and left behind children, sons and daughters. Bizman shenechasim rubim. If he had a large estate, plenty of money to go around, banim yorshim, then the sons will inherit the vast bulk of the estate. Banot nizarot, and the daughters will be provided material sustenance. They'll get financial support. But nechasim muatin, however, if the amount in the estate was very limited, habanot yazanu, then the daughters will be given material support. Vabanim, and as for the sons, yechazu l'ptachim, let them go begging from door to door for a handout, or just go off to work. But they're not going to inherit anything, and they're not going to get any mizanot, because that mizanot is being given to the girls. Why? Because it will be more of a distress for the girls to have to go knocking from door to door for support than it is for boys to do so. Everyone have a great week.